Hey, welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hey, y'all, I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self.
And today we are celebrating our one whole year of starting our podcast, Love Always Self. And
Woo, woo.
I know.
Happy birthday to Love Always Self. Happy birthday to Love Always Self. Happy birthday to you.
And here I was thinking, today's your birthday. Da-na-na-na-na. It's my birthday too. Okay. So, Carrie, we dreamed about doing this for so long.
Mhm.
And the fact that we even created this space, this environment, this reality, the motions that we put into place to really decide that we wanted to not only look within ourselves but share our journey and share other people's journeys, and help anyone else out there that is maybe going through something similar. And that I remember when we first talked about this, we were nervous, clearly.
And I
And
think it was like in 2019 that we originally started talking about this.
right, right.
Hmm.
And so when we first started talking about this, you're like, what are the odds? What are the odds that anyone's going to listen to this? What are the odds that, this is going to expand? And we just decided that, no matter what the odds are of that, if we even help a single person, uh, you know, that will make our lives extremely rich
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
internally, right? Like the gift of giving is always one of the greatest gifts that you can give.
Hmm. Hmm. The gift of service to others. And this is one of our ways of serving people outside of ourselves in being able to create a space to connect while feeling safe. Maybe you don't want to step out into that vulnerable space just yet, but when going through a what we call a spiritual awakening, you know, and we connect that with recognizing that we are a part of source, that we are all interconnected, and that love is the most powerful of all. And so, in going through our own spiritual awakening, we experienced a sense of feeling a little alone um, in that process. Even though we did have each other, thank goodness,
Yeah.
to bounce ideas off of, and the oh my gosh, what,
Yeah.
a bunch
Yeah.
of those. And we wanted to make a space to be able to communicate what we're experiencing and maybe the lessons that we've learned, how we've grown, so that other people can connect with that and feel connected in that community without feeling alone, and knowing that, we're here. You're not alone. This is a beautiful, can be scary, but also incredibly just enlightening journey.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And this is, one of the reasons why, we even started down this journey of ours. What's really mind-boggling sometimes is the strength between the two of us alone
Mm.
that we've gained by doing this, and the awareness that we've come to have by doing this, creating this podcast, creating, the YouTube channel, whatever that you're listening to this on or watching this on. And one of the, main goals of our, design of this show was for us to have an opportunity to look within and realize that when doing so, you're you're assisting others to do the same, and then
Mhm.
the next person to do the same, and then the next person, and that we all are, connected in this way, that your personal growth does help somebody else grow as well.
And I
And
think,
spread.
yeah, like healing your connections with self allows for greater healing within your connections with others as well.
Right. And
And
even
so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. Yeah, and even in the tiniest of ways, which, I remember when we were sitting on my couch and we were trying to come up with a name for this, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And it's like, well, what are the things that we're going to talk about? And so we write down like list after list after
Hundreds,
list.
hundreds of tag words.
All the different things that we could just, spew out and all the things that we want to learn and investigate and dive into and discuss and share. And it all had to do with, this love and this love for self in the end.
Mhm, mhm,
So you came up with a name,
mhm.
and we bounced
Like
back.
a love letter to self.
Right, right, like a
Mhm.
love letter to self. And just so everyone is full transparency here, Carrie does a majority, if not all of the writings for our show notes. She's the writer for sure. And so, it was kind of, looking at that list of names that we had, we kept going back to it.
Mhm.
Um, it,
To love
it
always self.
to love always
Yeah.
self, right?
Man, and when we first started, right? So we had no idea what the hell we were doing. We had no
None.
clue how to start a podcast, what equipment to use, what platforms to use, how to do social media in at this level anyways. And we had a lot of insecurities, a lot of things that we felt we needed to get perfect before we launched.
Oh
And
yeah.
gosh, we did not have it perfect at all when we launched. In fact, a year ago when we launched, we were only doing audio.
Yeah.
So it was scary to even put ourselves out there on video on YouTube. We were like, oh my gosh, we're going to be there forever.
Well, we had to talk ourselves into it. Yeah,
Yeah, we
no,
did.
there's been times where we've discussed going back, do we go back because, all for those that are listening on the audio only
Mhm.
platforms, we also have a YouTube channel. And so we were like, do we put any of our faces on here? Like, do people want to see this? Like, yeah. And then the journey of when we finally decided, because if you guys do go back and look at our YouTube channel, you're going to see this progression of like thumbnails and like everything else in between on like us trying to figure out our colors and like everything. It's a fun journey. Challenging but
Yeah.
fun. Expanding, but
Mhm,
again, it
mhm,
was fun. Creativity got real expanded. Uh,
mhm,
Learning to
mhm.
use tools, like getting microphones. How do we connect a headphone to this thing? Like, what cords do you use? The technology we had to figure out. Learning Canva just to create the designs. Um, for all of you out there listening that is, kind of a tech geek like I am, like that's, I know that that might be important to know, like what kind of stuff we're, utilizing to do this. Um, you know, it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. And how fitting was it that our very first episode, where we actually had video on YouTube, was titled Insecurities and Authentic Self? So, really like stepping out of our comfort zone and presenting ourselves in our full glory
Oh my gosh, you're
to
right.
you guys. And yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of growth in that. And not to say that we have healed all of those insecurities, they still pop up. We still question ourselves. And, I think that just speaks to there's always room for growth. We
Yeah.
never hit perfection because, it's just there's always room for expansion.
Right, right. And there, and I like to say the phrase, there is no such thing as perfect, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is a man-made word and a man-made concept altogether, humankind made. And so that's when going back and looking at some of the things that we've done, just like the titles that we would use.
Oh gosh.
Um, like first of all, what is it called? Feel through the thunder or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. One of my absolute favorite episodes. It was the first time we recorded in person. side by side here in my office, and we had so much fun doing it. There was a thunderstorm happening
Mhm.
outside, and you could actually hear it in the episode, which is why we kind of called it that because it fitted exactly what was going on in our conversation. And of course, the name of it was just funny for us. Not sure anybody else got it, but it was great for us.
That reminds me of Reframe in the Membrane. We thought we were being so
Oh,
cheeky with that one, but really, we just wanted to talk about how to change, or shift the frame of mind that we're
right,
in,
right.
and how to look at things differently. And I think we touched back on that when we talked about shifting perspectives, three sides to every coin. So
Mm,
it's even now, taking the perspective from the place we're at now and looking at where we were at then, I'm just so proud of us
me
for
too.
taking those steps of faith and trusting that the net is there, and that the information that we're putting out, it will be received by whomever needs to receive it when they need to receive it. So just taking that
Yeah.
and holding on to that faith and knowing that what we are putting out there is based and founded in love.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And oh gosh, like what are some of our favorite episodes that we've done? I would
Well, do you have some in mind?
outside of the one I've already mentioned,
Mhm,
so
mhm,
feel through the thunder, right? That
mhm,
was so much fun. Um the other one that we did, which was a little bit more unique than what we've normally done, and that was the get down and ground, the
mhm,
benefits
mhm.
of practicing grounding. We were outside and we had never done that before. We had a lot
We
of
were
fun
in
with the
the
lighting.
elements,
Yeah,
the wind.
the wind. You'll see that. um,
I think
it-
some of my favorites were the ones where we talked about some of the science that
mm,
supports
yep,
the beliefs of spirituality and interconnectedness,
yeah,
and even the power of our words and intention.
yeah,
So, like mentioning the Dr. Emoto's water experiments with words of positive vibrations versus negative vibrations, and how
yeah.
that impacted frozen water, ice.
It's so
And then
true.
how that directly impacts our physical being at a
Right.
molecular level. So, what we say and think about ourselves is either impacting us by lifting us up or hurting us, causing some traumas.
Yeah, yeah. That was a really good episode. Um, you know, some of my favorites, listening back to them,
Mhm, mhm.
uh, are the channeled messages ones.
Yeah. And that has been a huge step out for you as
Yeah,
far as putting yourself, being vulnerable about your skills and abilities that you have learned
yeah,
in these past couple of years.
yeah.
So what
It,
was that like for you?
well, terrifying, first of all. I had to work through a lot of my own personal, judgments
Mhm,
and my own personal fears, of being judged and being perceived in a way that maybe I wasn't sure if I was ready to be perceived that way or not. And I remember, talking to you after we had recorded the first, one, which I believe was the energetic blockages one, right?
mhm,
Because I had been doing it with just Carrie without
mhm,
recording, right?
mhm.
And so it was, man, I remember talking to you after we had recorded it, and I listened back to it, and I'm watching the video, and I'm seeing what I look like when Shyra is not really there, and I was like, "Oh my god. I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can release these videos out into the public." Like, yeah, it was challenging. So on one aspect, working through all of those fears, working through all of those emotions, even though it was so difficult and hard for me, it became my favorite thing looking back because it was one of those big leaps of releasing the thought of judgment from others
Mhm.
and focusing more on what do I like? What do I care about? How do I want to feel? Who do I want to be?
Mhm.
And just being okay with expressing the real Shyra.
Right,
And
right.
that's a magical aspect all in itself.
That was like a huge step
Yeah.
in healing or moving away from, self-judgment. Because yes, you were afraid of not being accepted by your peers, but a lot of that is based in our own self-judgment. And on the other side of that self-judgment, you have now experienced self-acceptance, which has led into love of self.
Exactly.
Great job. Congratulations, Shira. Like
Thanks.
just
Thanks.
just on that piece alone, that huge amount of growth and trust in yourself is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And it's in part, I've got a great partner here to help ask the right questions, to help, guide me. I mean, and speaking of guiding, you're now a coach,
Yeah.
which fantastic. You're so suited for that. And like, you know, and I don't think I could have done this without you,
Mm,
being by my side every step of the way. Um, there were so many times that I'd, give you a call and, or we'd get on these meetings and stuff that we do. And I would just be bawling because I was just so scared,
mm,
and we would walk each other through it. We would talk each
mhm,
other through it. And we released a lot of our own fears because we have this amazing partnership here to do this and this friendship and sisterhood. So like, that in itself is special. And I feel like those that listen to us, those that watch us, like I hope you feel this and you see that, there's so much love just in our own dynamic that we just want to share it with others, So yeah.
yeah, we definitely acknowledge that a lot of times between the two of us, we will have similar but different
Yeah.
experiences. And it's like our experiences different, balance each other out and
Hmm.
allow us to see the different perspectives of an event or an experience or a situation. And that's been a huge blessing because I don't think I would have learned or expanded nearly as quickly without you as my sister.
Oh,
Mhm.
I love you.
I love
I
you.
love you. We're having a moment, everybody, and you're all witnesses.
So, I think some of my favorite episodes is when we were able to have guests on.
Oh my gosh.
Because don't get me
Amazing.
wrong, I love talking to you, but it's really something totally different to bring
Yeah,
somebody else on and hear their experiences as well.
agreed.
So, I think like the people's journey, which we launched, I believe, back in February, right?
Yep,
Of
yep.
2022, where we had 4 different guests on during that month, in addition to our regular episodes, where they would come on and share their own soul journeys in this life so far.
Yeah.
And wow, what an experience there.
Yeah, that was an incredible mini series. We do plan to bring that back.
Mhm, mhm,
It's just been so much fun hearing other people's perspectives and being able to just hold space for
mhm,
someone else and allow that knowledge and experience to shine towards others that could also be having that. And that was one of the things that you and I talked about. We're like, look, you and I we're working off of the experiences that we're having and we're
mhm,
sharing the experiences that you and I are having, but there's so many other people out there that are having experiences and they could be altered and different than ours because we're all individuals and we're all
mhm,
unique in that way, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
so and having a connection with somebody else is just as important. So, and feeling and receiving information that could be gained from someone else is just as important. It's that
I
whole community effort thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that those stories, those experiences just highlight that there's no one path
Right.
to creating this awareness.
Yeah.
There is no one right way. There's many ways. It's
Right.
whichever way you choose, which is why we wanted to present, different perspectives
Yeah.
different experiences, because everybody's life is different.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm. Mhm.
And what would you say would be like one of your all-time, because then we started adding guest speakers to
Mhm.
our
Mhm.
normal podcast, even outside of the people's journey.
Mhm.
And we had, oh my gosh, we've had Alexa from Inner Bloom podcast on. That was
Mhm.
fun.
Mhm.
We've had Thomas Miller
Mhm. From
in
Fun
one.
Astrology and the Subconscious Mind Mastery.
Yep. So that was a fantastic conversation. It's actually one of our more recent ones. We've had Carolyn Horn.
Mhm. Mhm.
She's the Akashiana.
Mhm.
And I love that conversation. She made me laugh a lot.
You know,
Um,
I have to give a quick shout out to our very first guest that we had,
oh
and I
my
believe this was
gosh.
episode 8, Miss
Yes.
Tara
Miss Tara
Cassidy.
Cassidy,
Yes.
yes, PhD, yo. So yeah, she is amazing. And that discussion was hard hitting for me.
Yes.
Because it wasn't far after my hysterectomy that we were having that conversation. So, and we talked about fertility.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that was a really good conversation as well.
Mhm.
And we just love her. We
But
love
I
Miss
do
Tara.
have to say, the one with Thomas Miller, he has been a part of my life for the past like 2 or 3 years, because I listen to his Fun
Yeah.
Astrology podcast almost every weekday morning. And it was almost like a fangirl moment having him on, like just kind of this full circle experience, because he was one of the main podcasts that ended up pushing me towards, and I started off with the subconscious mind mastery, but pushing me towards awakening, to opening my eyes to different options, different realities, different um, views of myself as the creator of my reality.
Mm,
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah. I would say honestly, like that was a very fun conversation, a very eye-opening conversation. I never even thought to link, you know, Google the terminology that he used of a Google
Mhm.
map in comparison to astrology. That was cool. So if y'all haven't listened to that episode, please go back, check that one out. I believe that's episode 51.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I really liked the Kate Cook with the Light Within coach.
Yes, she was phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. The nugget drops that she had in there, it was like she was just consistently tapped in the whole time, and it was beautiful. And oh my gosh, Prep to Your Door with Heather
Yes.
Emerson. That was cool. Just getting
All
to
about sustainability, the health for
mhm.
you and health for the earth.
Yep.
I love how she's, really looking at how she can support, our agricultural system, the individuals, and Mother Earth, all through this healthy eating.
Yeah, and she is just a powerhouse.
Yes.
So just very impressive. Yeah, so we've got a lot of episodes out there. This episode is episode 54. Yeah.
54.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be episode 54. That's 54 weeks.
That that's mean yeah, we've done a whole stinking year
Yeah,
and we haven't missed a week yet.
exactly.
Man,
Uh,
I think when we first started, I really didn't know if
yeah,
we would make it to a full year.
me
It
neither.
seemed like so far away.
I know.
And just knowing how many downloads that we've had of people listening, whether it's
Yeah.
through YouTube or different podcast platforms, it has just made my heart swell with, I don't want to say pride, but excitement
Yeah.
that we are assisting the collective in elevating our vibration.
Yep.
And it's just such important work to expand the love that is within us outward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, I think it all starts with self care. and self-acceptance and really, loving self.
And really understanding what that feels like
Mhm.
when you just accept yourself as your own whole being.
Mhm.
You know, the work that we do, and that we share it because we're doing it ourselves
Yeah.
and we have our own experience in it. We rarely ever talk about anything that we don't actually have a question towards
Mhm.
ourselves, or that our audience hasn't asked us a question about, and we're like, "That's a good question. We're gonna look into that," and we appreciate the interactions that we're getting uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
from all of you guys listening.
And all the feedback, which is why
Yeah,
we would love to hear what your favorite episodes have
yeah,
been as well.
oh
So
yeah.
if you want to comment down below on the tubes or, on Apple Podcasts or on the Facebooks or Instas, wherever you find us.
There's so much social media.
We would love to hear your feedback as far as what your favorites were and what else you would like to hear us talk about. So, if there's any subjects that we haven't touched on or that you would like us to dive deeper into, we would love to hear that from you because we want to be able to support you how you feel you need to be supported.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we, in the middle of all this, we launched a website. So you could also provide feedback there as if we didn't do enough in 1 year. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but we got day jobs. But yeah, so we actually launched a not well, obviously we launched a podcast because you're here, but we also launched a website and we did this with the help of
Mhm.
someone we admire and hold very, very dear to our hearts so
Absolutely.
much.
Mhm.
And that is Stephanie. And we won't say her last name right now because we're not sure if we're gonna have permission for that. But
She is our phenomenal editor, and she
mhm.
is actually the host of Run Hard, Mom Hard podcast also.
Yeah.
So we're hoping maybe we can get a little guest appearance, Stephanie.
Just saying,
Uh,
Stephanie, because you're gonna see this.
but we want to share the team with you too, because she is part of what makes this doable for us, because we wouldn't be able to do this without her.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Chelsea. She helped us in the very beginning
Mhm.
do all of our social media, help us really get started on, how to create some of the content that we do create on our social media. She has risen to her own personal growth that's magnificent. So she's not with our team anymore. And Carrie and I are doing all the social media posts actually. Thank you, Canva. And no, you're not sponsoring this video, but thank you. But yeah, so this it's been a team effort to get
Mhm.
to where we are. We have had help, lots of
Speaking
help.
of a team effort, we would be remiss if we didn't also thank our Mount Glass.
Oh, Mount Glass.
So, our masters, teachers, guides, loved ones, angels, self, and source.
Yeah,
We thank you for all of your guidance and your gift of information and pushing us to share what we need to share and to step out into our authentic selves and support us through that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about, what is Mount Glass or who is Mount Glass,
Mhm.
we do have an episode about that. I think that one's only on YouTube. It's very short. It's only like 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's just
Um,
a quick little video that you
yeah,
did
yeah,
for the website. So it's also on our
yeah, that's right.
website or YouTube. Who
Yeah.
is Mount Glass?
Exactly. We acronym them. That's what we did. So, oh my gosh, what a fantastic year. And I'm so grateful for for you, Carrie, for every single listener, for every single subscriber or follower. Like y'all have been absolutely incredible and so supportive and beautiful. And we appreciate all of you And we
Mhm.
hold space and love and compassion and gratitude for every single one of you. And we feel that. So thank you again for a magical year that we've had and will
And
continue to have.
and if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification button and like the video so we will continue to or you will continue to support us in supporting you.
Exactly. Let's get these messages out there, everyone. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful, beautiful episode. I hope you all really enjoyed it. Anything else you'd like to say?
Just that I am really impressed. I am impressed with you. I am impressed with even me and all of the healing that we've done within ourselves through this podcast and stepping into our power, and just impressed with our persistence. As my dad puts it, be like water on a rock.
Good one, Dad. Good one. I'm going to remember that. Writing that down in the show notes, please. Hashtag be water on the rock.
So, just huge, huge amount of gratitude for each of you, again, for all of our listeners, for all of our supporters, including our Mount Glass, and for you and me, and just our relationship and being able to share it with the world.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, with that being said,
Mhm.
everyone, we bid you adieu just for this week. And we'll see you again next week. And until then, don't forget to love first
Love last.
and love always. Bye, everybody.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, remember to love first,
Love last, and love always.
Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.